Welcome to the Soul Health Mentor podcast with Nadia Kraus. Learn how to move your awareness out of your mind and into your heart so you can embody your divinity, experience joyous peace of mind, and create your most vibrant life by opening to receive your soul's sacred medicine.
Hello there, Nadia here from Soul Health Mentor Podcast. Welcome back, beautiful soul. It's so wonderful that you are here, strong heart. And hey, brilliant listener, I've got some really exciting news to share with you. So I'm looking forward to telling you all about what has been cooking in the Soul Health Mentor kitchen. And we will be speaking about what happiness is and what it is not. But first, let's point out that you might have noticed the internal nudge to pause for a minute. Do you know that feeling when there's this internal voice? It's a soft whisper telling you to pause. Just take a minute, rest and digest. Rest and digest your life. Sometimes life is so fast moving, with such a fast pace, that the soul and the heart don't actually have the time it takes to catch up. And then the mind kind of gets in the way of that whisper, and the mind will scream at you saying, "No, I don't have time. I have all these things to do. I can't take a minute to pause. What are you talking about? Are you crazy?" That is why the tagline of Soul Health Mentor Podcast invites you to drop out of your head and into your heart. It's all about out of your mind and into your heart wisdom. So let's do this together. Let's just pause. Let's just hit the pause button for this episode. Every time you come back to Soul Health Mentor Podcast, it is an invitation to pause, stop, slow down, remember to breathe, and listen to what your heart and soul have been trying to tell you all along. In this way, you can trust divine synchronicity and orchestration. You will always find the episode that you are meant to listen to. It will get your attention. It will invite you to just take a minute to recharge. Recharge with a soul power boost by pausing, stopping, slowing down, allowing yourself to breathe and listen. I personally really love listening to inspiring and empowering podcasts on my nature walks. Sometimes I want to listen to nature sounds, but other times I'm walking in spaces where my eye sees trees and nature, but there's a lot of city noise. So to drown out that city noise but enjoy the view of nature, the luscious green, it's a wonderful combination. I just listen to something inspiring because it's way more inspiring to listen to a podcast that I enjoy than to listen to city noises. So that's my invitation for you. You can listen to Soul Health Mentor podcast on your lunch break or on your evening walks. And I typically love podcast episodes that are around 30 minutes, between 30 and 40 minutes. I kind of get antsy when they're longer than that. So I create these podcast episodes for you with me in mind. I kind of was thinking about, what do I enjoy? What do I appreciate? And I would love for you to give me feedback on that. I'm inviting you to download the Podbean app because Podbean is my podcast host. And it's so cool when you download the Podbean app and you listen to Soul Health Mentor Podcast via that app, because you actually have the opportunity to comment on episodes. And I love receiving comments from the listeners, and I really read the comments and I love responding too. I'm a very social being by nature, so if we met in real life, you would notice how chatty I am. And why not translate that through the Podbean app. Isn't that cool? So download the Podbean app and let's start talking with each other. All right, let's get back to talk about what happiness is. I personally can only hear the messages of my divine guidance when I allow myself spaces of silence and that spaciousness. Creating that spaciousness in my space allows me to listen to divine guidance. It allows me to drop out of my mind and into my heart and to hear what I require, what I desire, and what I truly deserve. And the same goes for you. What do you require? What do you desire? And what do you truly deserve? So this podcast episode was inspired by the pause button I hit. It was inspired by that spaciousness I allowed myself to have. And I'm super happy to announce and so thrilled that we are kicking off Soul Health Mentor Podcast 2.0 with this very episode. Let's get back to happiness, shall we? And then I will tell you more about Soul Health Mentor 2.0 in a bit. So creating happiness in your life will ask you to realign with your truest dreams, to recollect and reconnect with your truest resources, to then reassemble it all in your personal and professional lives. So you notice there's a lot of re's. And I recently recorded a podcast episode called Manifesting in Natural Rhythms and Cycles, or Creating Your Wonderful, it was a different title. It was called Creating Your Wonder-Filled Life with Natural Rhythms and Cycles. And if you haven't listened to that podcast episode yet, I welcome you to do so. And what I talked about is that there's literally a natural rhythm and cycle in nature, in the cosmos, in your body, and in your life if you allow it. If you allow yourself to pause, stop, slow down, breathe, and listen, you will start attuning yourself to the natural rhythm and cycle that is you, because you are nature. So let's talk about cosmic rhythms. You probably have heard about Mercury retrograde, and Mercury retrograde has gotten a very bad rep, which is not really a good thing, because it's nothing threatening at all. Mercury is the planet of communication, Mercury is the teacher, and Mercury invites you into the re's, into the realigning, the recollecting, the reassembling, the reevaluating, all the re's. And it happens every 3 months. Mercury is in retrograde every 3 months. So basically, every quarter, you're invited to create your happiness from within by reflecting, by reevaluating. So that's not so bad, right? But as you notice, it takes time, just a little bit of time. But it takes you allowing yourself to create the sacred space of spaciousness. And when you allow yourself that space, then the concept of happiness can be really simple. So allow it to be simple. While actual implementation might seem a little tricky, allow yourself the realization that happiness is simple. It is simple. It is based on your standards, your values, your desires, and your needs. That's it. So creating happiness from within takes building your body and your bodies strong. Why am I talking about your body and your bodies? I'm talking about bodies because they are subtle bodies at play that all need your care. Soul health is a work of heart, your heart, and soul health takes care of all the subtle bodies, which is your physical body, your emotional body, your mental body, your spiritual body, and your light body, your soul. Your soul is your light body. It's the light that wants to shine through you. So obviously, we haven't been taught that in society. I created a podcast episode. It's podcast episode number 10 last year, and I called it The 4 Pillars of Soul Health. And that's when I started talking about the 4 bodies: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. But since it is Soul Health Mentor Podcast 2.0, we're going to start talking about the soul way more, the light body. The soul and the light body is that potential, that divine potential that you hold, that wants to be anchored on earth so you can pull heaven down to earth to create your very personal Eden, your paradise, your happiness, your fulfillment, your joy. And notice how I'm saying your. It's based on your needs, your desires, your standards, your values, and nobody else's. That, of course, takes reflection time. What are your needs? What are your values? What are your standards? What are your desires? And it takes questioning what you've been conditioned to believe. So you've been conditioned, like all of us, like me as well, to believe that success looks a certain way. You earn a certain amount of money, you have a certain kind of status in your career, you're owning a certain kind of house, a certain kind of car, you're doing certain kind of things, luxury, vacation, cruises. And while all of that is part of life and definitely adds to the quality of your life experience, it is not who you are. It is not who you are. You are so much more than all those outer circumstances. And when you're rich from the inside out, then creating and manifesting those outer circumstances are just the cherry on top of all the goodness that lives inside of you. And getting to know your subtle bodies better, and getting to know the care that they need. What care does your physical body need? What care does your emotional body need? What care does your mental body need? What care does your spiritual body need? And what is your soul, your light body, trying to tell you? It's the light that wants to be anchored through you, and it comes through your intuition. And how do you access your intuition? You access your intuition by dropping out of your mind and into your heart and pausing a minute to listen. A spiritual body soul health care practice, I just made that word up, is meditation and prayer. Prayer is the ask, and it is not tied to religion. It involves no dogma. Prayer is just your personal relationship to the divine. And you might find yourself in the forest because nature is your church. You find yourself in the forest so inspired by the beauty around you that it's so easy to connect to your heart, and it's so easy to connect to your heart's wishes. And you might find yourself just speaking a desire. And the desire might be, I really want to create an environment where I can thrive. I do not enjoy my corporate job. It is toxic. It depletes me. Please show me how to create this environment where I can thrive and where I am replenished, where work feels like play, and where I can utilize all of my divine potential and spiritual gifts. And then meditation, getting quiet, allowing silence, stopping, slowing down, breathing, and listening, allows you to listen to the divine guidance. Let that land for a moment. Doesn't that feel amazing? And that's the first simple concept of creating happiness. Know and get to know your subtle bodies. And in getting to know your subtle bodies, you are practicing soul health care as a work of heart, your needs, your desires, your standards, your values. Let's talk about the next simple concept of happiness. It takes growing your mind beautiful in self-love. Now, I know this is a big concept and it can feel really, really vague for so many reasons. And I'm going to really put it in the most simplest term. I'm going to use a soul power mantra that helped me anchor into self-love when I started this process of self-love leadership. When you put self-love in the leadership position, your life changes one step at a time. Your relationships change one step at a time. And what it took was the realization that I will not abandon myself even when others do. I'm just not going to abandon myself even when others do. And I created a podcast episode about the 3 pillars of self-love leadership last year. And I don't remember the number. I remember soul health pillars were the episode number 10. And I know the 3 pillars of self-love leadership was either after that or before that. And if you go visit the Soul Health Mentor podcast show notes blog, go to soulhealthmentor.com, you'll see a button top left, and there you will see all of the show notes. And obviously it's going to take you a little bit of scrolling to the very first episodes, but that's where you can find it. Or you just find it on the Podbean app and you just scroll all the way down and listen to that episode, the 3 pillars of self-love leadership, or I think it was just called the 3 pillars of self-love. And I mention how I started with emotional brain training. And emotional brain training led me to that soul power mantra. I will not abandon myself even when others do. So that's where soul health and self-love begin. The realization and the consciousness that through childhood conditioning, we actually abandon ourselves all the time as adults because as a child, we once felt abandoned by an adult, by someone we loved. We felt shamed, we felt negated, we felt not listened to. None of this happened maliciously. It's really an ancestral line of parents not knowing who they are, parents not knowing what their needs are, what their values are, what their standards are, what their requirements are. And it's that conditioning from generation to generation to generation. And what we're doing right now, we're breaking that line of self-neglect. We're breaking that pattern of self-abuse. We're breaking that pattern of abandoning ourselves by learning to parent ourselves. We are becoming the ideal mother. We are becoming the ideal father to our inner child. So that is what growing your mind beautiful in self-love leadership actually means, and that's where it starts. Now, that creates a lot of happiness once you go through the process, but it also requires you to be able to process grief and sadness, and it does entail shadow healing. I also created a podcast episode where I talked about shadow healing. So you're noticing a pattern here, aren't you? Every single episode that I create, I view like a mini workshop of soul health, a mini workshop of soul health care, inviting you to drop out of your mind into your heart so that you can view and experience and witness soul health as a work of heart, specifically your heart. The next little concept that is simple is opening your heart to receive all you require, desire, and deserve. And I totally realize that while it's simple, it might feel really hard in implementing. What does it mean to open your heart to receive all you require, desire, and deserve? Receiving is literally an action. And receiving is an action because you have to consciously allow for it. It is a divine feminine principle. Receiving is just that, opening yourself to receive. But now think about how we've been conditioned in society. We've been conditioned that we have to prove ourselves. We have to earn our living. And we have to prove ourselves. And it's this never enough. It's never enough. The toxic masculine structure of patriarchy has become this, I have to prove myself. I have to hustle. I can't just stop, slow down, breathe, and listen, and open my heart to receive all that I require, desire, and deserve. Are you crazy? Can you see how that goes? But if you stop, slow down, breathe, and listen, and open your heart to receive divine guidance and next steps on how you can create an environment where you can thrive on all levels, you'll do just that. You will receive the next aligned action step. And of course, it doesn't happen overnight, but it happens one step at a time. You will get to honor your true nature by doing the work to get to know yourself better. Your heart, your soul, your essence. And in getting to know yourself better, you actualize the happiest, most nourished, abundant, and wholesome version of yourself. And actualization is based on your truest needs, truest desires, your standards, and your values, and it has you experiencing the power of embodiment. Embodying your divinity, because you are divine. You are a light. You are a beautiful soul. You are a strong heart. And you are a brilliant listener when you stop, drop down, and listen. So this podcast is here to support you in your quest of finding and creating true happiness from within first. And as you change your internal environment to be a deeply nourishing one, you're going to create your external environment to reflect that. It is the very reason that I invite you to practice out of your mind and into your heart wisdom that comes through, so you can connect with your soul's desire and your heart's wishes while hearing the next aligned steps that you need to take to self-actualize your soul's dream. And the dream your soul has for you is just for you to embody your divinity and your full divine potential through your talents, your skill set, and your spiritual gifts. We are all unique as a snowflake, and we all have these wonderful gifts to bring to the world, and We have a lot to do. There's a lot of challenges right now, but we each bring our light to the table. So know this. Coming here, listening, you learn how to apply your soul's medicine by regularly connecting to heart space. And it's so simple. It just takes a moment of stopping, slowing down, breathing, and listening, allowing yourself to have these pockets of time. 30 minutes at a time, that's all it takes. And the power of those pockets of time accumulate over time. So never ever underestimate the power of baby steps, and allow yourself to experience more fulfillment, more satisfaction, and more peace of mind via your light body, your soul, giving you clues so you can master your transformation, so you can embody your divinity, so you can create your most vibrant life by opening to receive your soul's sacred medicine. Listen to a new podcast every week. Starting this Sunday, April 2nd, we are kicking off a new season of Growing Our Dream Seeds with 5 consecutive episodes this spring of 2023. And I'm so super excited to introduce you to John Verboegi next episode. We're going to talk about his woo-woo book and the simple key to joyous living that is suppressed by religion and ignored by science. So it's going to be a really, really good episode and interview. You can find out more about launch week and all the episodes that are planned on the show notes blog at soulhealthmentor.com. I'm going to invite you to take a look at the kickoff page. I'm going to invite you to take a look at the Self-Love Leadership Timeline, where you can subscribe to my email newsletter to stay in touch and for updates. And I'm going to show you how you can download the Podbean app so you can start commenting on podcast episodes and having a conversation with me. Let's engage this year. Let's get to know each other better. I am so grateful that you are here, and please know that you are such a beautiful soul with such a strong heart and with the ability to brilliantly listen to your soul's sacred medicine and guidance. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Soul Health Mentor podcast with Nadia Kraus. If you like what you heard, please subscribe, rate, and review at Apple Podcasts or wherever podcasts are playing.